program concept, again, we looked at the feedback that came from Costa Rica, and it was very positive. We sensed that the audience was receptive to how we structured it with plenary, presentations talking about the business of radiation processing, right through to technical theaters, talking of the what and the how, and the poster session being very devoted towards the science and the research and development activities. So again, our ambition is to try and replicate what we believe was a successful structure to the IMRP that we used at Costa Rica. But there will be some changes, and I'm just going to talk a little about some of the changes that you're going to see. In terms of the plenary, we'll still have, day one very much focused on the sort of global perspectives, hearing from the business leaders around the world, what's been happening in the 2 years since our previous IMRP, what's the developments in the industry. Day two, when we look back to when we were in Bangkok, we have 3 plenary strands. And one of the things we did in Costa Rica is we reduced it to 2 because we felt, the audience was having to choose between 2. This time around, we do want to go back to having 3, but we're not going to create that sort of conflict between plenaries. We're going to have a full day devoted on sterilization and a half day devoted, on industrial processing, and a half day devoted on the food and phytosanitary activities and applications. Again, day 3, based on the feedback and how the program structures with all of the abstracts, we'll certainly be looking at, can we have a keynote speaker around the theme, something of particular interest to the audience. And day 4, like we did in Costa Rica, we'll cover topics like, education, leadership. It'll lead into the IAA, and the award ceremony and the General Assembly. So again, quite a familiar feel to what we've had in the last number of IMRPs. In Costa Rica, the tech theaters were a great success, but certainly feedback that we had was trying to host 3 tech theaters caused some challenges around, audio, sound, etc. So we've decided this time around to, refine it to 2 tech theaters, which we can position at opposite ends of a room and, ensure we don't have any, sound quality issues. Plus also the IS events team are working with, the Crown Plaza, making sure we have, the right amount of, the right terms of soundproofing, etc., that we would need for the tech theaters. Because again, I think the success of the tech theaters was it gave that 15 minutes, opportunity to showcase the latest developments in technologies, in dosimetry, in equipment. And again, that's something we want to replicate. And, it does sit well in the exhibition space. It's very tied to those people that are exhibiting and showcasing their offering to the industry. Posters, for me, this was a resounding success that we had in Costa Rica. We really wanted to showcase the scientific endeavor because, it's not easy. It's work that takes a lot of time and effort by the people doing it. And I think we created an environment where, there was a great audience participation in terms of viewing posters, voting on posters, and some of the fanfare that we had with the voting and the award presentation. So again, I think the poster session is going to be very, very similar when we come to Germany next year. The program at a glance, a lot of detail on this slide. At the end of this presentation, you'll actually get a QR code that you'll be able to go straight into the website. And all of this information is actually contained in the IMRP website, including this overview of the plenary or of the overall program. And again, this is the structure as we are today. But remember, we are very much at the start of the abstract process. And again, we as a program committee, will look and see what comes in terms of abstracts, because that will help shape the content and the structure for the conference. So again, we will start with a structure, but we would reserve the right to, adapt it as we see appropriate based on what the abstract submissions are. And I suppose the important bit for us as a program committee is the call for abstracts. And, again, one of the things I would say is that, sometimes the call for abstracts gives that, idea that it's really around the scientific presentations and about posters. Our term of call for abstracts is really around content. As you can see, we've got 3 opportunities for the audience to provide content and support the conference, be it plenary, tech theatre, or the posters. So again, the abstract process is to garner, those topics that you as a participating audience want to talk about, want to hear about. And again, there is a portal that we've used for the last number of IMRPs for people submitting abstracts, and that's what we would use as a program committee to, to review all the submissions and determine what's the right content for each of the different presentation opportunities. As I said, we're looking for business, technical, and scientific content. Again, the task for the program committee is to figure out where's the right places for that to be presented. I think that's something we did, well when we were in Costa Rica, and I think it's something we will replicate again. And again, ultimately, my last bullet point is it's please use the call for abstracts process to submit the content that you feel is appropriate, for an IMRP. Ideally as aligned to the team as possible, but as Martin said, the team is purposefully broad so that we can actually get all of the content and actually find the right opportunities for it to be presented and shared. At the bottom here, I'm sure on some of the key dates, again, all of this information is on the website. We're in that call for abstract window, and that'll go on to the end of June. The program committee, we will be meeting in person probably around the October timeframe, and it's at that stage that we will actually have filtered through all of the abstracts and started putting together, the program as we would see it.